As you watch these classical texts and ornate artworks burning in this fire, you are looking at the enduring stereotype of the Puritans. Historically, they dismantled humanistic art and eradicated vast swaths of English literature. Yet, if we were to erase these cultural executioners from history, our modern constitutional liberties might vanish right alongside them. During the critical window between 1625 and 1660, this exact same deeply religious group stood as the fiercest defenders of political freedom against the tyranny of kings. So we have to figure out how a single ideological movement managed to simultaneously save the concept of a democratic state while systematically suffocating the culture that lived inside it. Look at the elaborate altar and the intricate architecture in this church. For early Calvinist believers following the Protestant Reformation, this represented everything wrong with the newly established Church of England. They felt it remained far too deeply tied to the complex ceremonies of Rome. They wanted to completely strip away all those remaining Catholic influences. As we pan to the unadorned stone walls, you see exactly what they favored: completely austere public worship and intensely strict rules for conduct. This extreme strictness alienated them from mainstream society. In fact, the term Puritan was originally coined as a sneering insult to mock their severe way of life. They might have remained a mocked fringe sect if not for Archbishop William Laud. He decided to enforce strict conformity to the national church, actively hunting down and punishing these dissenters. At the exact same time as this hierarchy chart illustrates, King Charles I was rapidly expanding the power of the crown. He was aggressively crushing the constitutional privileges of the English Parliament and its Commons. Watch what happens to the Commons notes here. Facing religious persecution from the church and political overreach from the king, these scattered religious factions were forced to rapidly fuse together, forming a solid, unified bloc of opposition. By trying to crush the Puritans, the king weaponized them. They evolved into a highly organized, completely intolerant political force, engineered specifically to fight earthly tyranny. That concentrated ideological tension eventually found a spark. It erupted into the violent reality of the English Civil War. On the battlefield, the Puritans fought with a distinct psychological advantage. Because they possessed an absolute belief in the supremacy of God, they completely lacked any fear of a human king. This portrait of Oliver Cromwell shows the face of their ultimate victory. Clad in heavy armor and wearing a deeply stern expression, Cromwell led the Puritan forces to total political supremacy over England. But securing the nation politically meant plunging it into a cultural winter. Their intense preoccupation with spiritual purity quickly curdled into an open, aggressive hostility toward the secular world. Take a look at the vibrant colors and classical, humanistic beauty captured in this fresco. The Puritan regime viewed aesthetics like this as a direct threat, explicitly denouncing the art, the science, and the knowledge that gave secular life its value. They actively sought to confine all English literature and thought strictly within their own narrow spiritual borders, draining the secular beauty from the culture. The Commonwealth they built achieved remarkable moral uprightness and political strength, but they paid for it by systematically suffocating the creative soul of the nation. The Puritan era left England with a fractured legacy. It injected the state with a noble, defiant spirit against tyranny, while simultaneously leaving the culture deeply morose, illiberal, and narrow. Yet, out of this exact anti-art vacuum emerged a massive historical anomaly: John Milton, one of the undisputed giants of English literature. Like the blinding golden light violently cracking through the dark stone you see here, Milton's genius broke out of a deeply hostile social environment. He survived the cultural winter because he didn't reject Puritanism. He absorbed every ounce of its immense moral strength and uncompromising integrity. But he bypassed their fatal anti-intellectual flaw. He took that strict moral framework and fused it seamlessly with the generous, expansive culture of the Renaissance, the very culture his peers despised. Milton's legacy is defined by that very tension. He became the singular figure who could take the hard, unyielding integrity of the Puritan movement and weave it into the expansive, humanistic beauty his peers had tried so hard to erase.